the Maisonette 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, maybe to go for 30, 40 million. Now, I don't know. Terra Developers is selling them for 100 million or more. So that is capital appreciation. If you have bought this 3-4 years ago, this is the value. So instead of waiting for the next 10 years when you have all the money, the mortgage allows you to buy that asset now. Then you pay down. The mortgage asset, which is real estate, are proven to be the only asset that beats inflation. You know, inflation in Nigeria is in the 20s. Of course, it has been coming down a bit, 20-something%. Mortgage asset or real estate asset is the only asset that is able to give you a return that is above inflation in Nigeria and everywhere else in the world. So we are saying over the next 4 years, anyone that have real estate assets, not speculative real estate assets, anywhere in Lagos, the value will have doubled after 4 or 5 years. That is the story in Nigeria, anywhere on the mainland or on the highland. So we'll go to the next slide. So mortgage banks typically do mortgages. And what do you need? You need a property. So your customer needs a property, or you yourself, you need a property. So we're starting from here. Documentation, ensure it is intact. Is there a title to it? Then you need an equity contribution, 10% to 30%, depending on the kind of mortgage plan you're going to, or depending on your preferences. Some people will tell you, I want to contribute 50%. I have 50 million. I want to buy a house of 100 million. So I just want to borrow 50 million. Despite the fact that minimum equity contribution is 10%, which is 10 million, but I want to do more so I can borrow less. Then some people, you can use your pension fund contribution. You know, you can use it 25% of it as part of your equity contribution. So these are the things you need to know for you to qualify for a mortgage. The next slide. Then eligibility, you have a proof of consistent, verifiable regular income. Whether you are in paid employment, you call it 9 to 5, or you run your own business, you are resident in Nigeria, you are not resident in Nigeria, as long as you are a citizen of Nigeria, you can get a mortgage in Nigeria. In fact, you can tap into any of the mortgage plans. I did an interview recently where I mentioned that comedians, you know, some 3-4 years ago, a couple of comedians came to us looking at what they earn, and they bought houses in a Qatar. We have some customers that, you know, they left a Big Brother Nigeria, they got some endorsements, they started a beauty line, ladies, and they took mortgage. We have a guy, what he does is photography for real estate developers, and he took a mortgage. So it's not until you are earning a salary that comes on the 30th of every month or at the end of every month. If you have a source of income that is regular, quite consistent, and you have a proof for it, that means you collect money to your bank statement, because we are going to look at your bank statement. Then you can take a mortgage. You have a minimum of 5 years left in active service, take a mortgage. I'm looking at most people here, most of us have quite a number left. So I tell young people, the earlier you start, the better. You are a realtor, the earlier you start, the better. We have realtors, there's a developer that we had a partnership with, and his realtors, you know, they are selling 40 units, 10 of them. They are buying 10 of those units. From commissions they earn, because we looked at their bank statement and we realized that over the last 5 years, they've been earning commission. So they've shown proof of consistent income, and they are buying. So nothing stops you from starting. You are a realtor with Terra Developer, with any of their projects. You might not start from here. You can start from Lakaway or Bogije, or you can even start here. Nothing stops you. You need to just start now when you are younger, when you still have the energy. You have a clean credit report. So when you borrow, you pay. You know, a credit report that is clean is good. It's better than someone that some people will tell you, I have never borrowed before. No, I am skeptical, because you are showing me you don't understand, or you don't have the discipline yet. But for someone that borrows and you pay, even if it is recharge card you are borrowing online from MTN or small money from PalmPay, you pay. You have a clean credit report. It will show that you have a track record of borrowing and repaying. So if you don't have that good track record, you are going to struggle to get a mortgage. Then co-borrowing is allowed. We allow spouse, husband and wife. Some people say boyfriend and girlfriend. It depends on you. As long as the law of Nigeria permits, more than 60% of mortgages we did last year, 2024, were husbands and wives coming together, saying, I'm earning this, my wife is earning this. We want to take a mortgage, and the two of us will be paying together because it's a family income that we are charging it on. In fact, we have one where the husband does 9 to 5, the wife does small jobs, and she's earning 300% of what the husband is getting. You know, she goes for 1 gig in a month, and the money she makes is more than the husband's salary, and she does like 4 of that every weekend. And we have to add the two of them together and say, okay, you can get a mortgage. So co-borrowing is allowed. And that's why we say the mortgage, you are not buying a commodity on Jumia. You are buying an asset that is long-lasting. And once you key your mind into it, it works better. And also, it helps you. The realtors there, you need to educate your customers, your clients better. The next slide, please. The repayment is just monthly. Some people want us to do it quarterly. Some will tell you, take repayment from my account weekly. So we have this system that is with NIBS. We all know NIBS is a central payment platform. We put a mandate on your account. It takes it every week. So you don't bother yourself transferring. The next slide. So this is the process for a mortgage. And this is what I preach to people everywhere I go. You first do your due diligence on the property, which is the property or the development has a title. I am sure Olivia Gardens have a title. 2, is there building plan approval in place? 3, have they done the charting? You know, the charting shows you, is it in the right of way? So that one day the local government, Honorable Moyosore, will not come and say, you are building on what? And they ought to do what we have. We use it to do trade on X and show a video demolishing the place. So we make sure that the property is in good standing. It's not in the right of way. There's title, there's building plan, approval. And this property has everything. It runs over across for Terra Developers. Because before we put our own stamp behind the property to bring our banner, we also do this due diligence as a mortgage bank. You know, when you are buying a property using a mortgage, you are sure that this due diligence, you are pretty much covered. You are putting down 10%, 20%, 30%. The mortgage bank is doing 90%, 80% or 70%. So at the initial period, the mortgage bank has more skin in the game than you. So this due diligence, they don't joke with it, especially for people in diaspora. We encourage them. You know, most of them just call a lawyer and say, go and do a search. The lawyer will go and do a search and say, there's no what? No equivalence, so you can buy. It is more than buying because there's no equivalence. It might not have a building plan approval. In fact, in some cases, when you do a hard search, you will know that there's an equivalence that your basic search, the lawyer does not. So we have a whole team of lawyers, of surveyors, of builders in a mortgage bank. It's a whole team, up to 8 or 9 of them. Their job is to make sure any development or any property a customer is using a mortgage to buy is clean. So that is the due diligence. Then, you know, you have a steady income. We mentioned that. In some cases, some people buy the property and the rental income is enough to pay all their repayments for the year. So that can be a way of you doing your repayment if you are using it for investment. There's flexibility to wind down. You can take a 20-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, and midway you get some money, you get some bonuses or alerts. All those big alerts came in and you want to pay down. So you don't need to stay the whole of the 20 years. There's tax benefits. It is tax deductible if you are making mortgage repayments. You'll be hearing about the tax reform, saying the tax everyone is paying is going to increase. But all this can make you get reduced tax. Then, like I mentioned, is an hedge against inflation. You hold a property in Nigeria, you own a piece of Nigeria, it gives you a return that is more than inflation by the time you want to sell it. The next one. So there are a lot of mortgage opportunities now in Nigeria before we complain about high interest rates. But there's no excuse again for you not to take a mortgage or for your customer not to take a mortgage. I want to talk about a few of them. We have one called MREF. It's by the Ministry of Finance. So the federal government with some pension fund put together money. It's supposed to be a 1 trillion or a 2 trillion naira. But the first tranche they have is 250 billion. They are giving out mortgages at 9.75%. Less than 10%. Do you know the implication of that? If you are not taking this mortgage, you are losing money. If you have money to pay and you have the option of taking the mortgage, take a mortgage. That your money, go and put it in the FCMB. They will give you 15%. Or in any bank, they will give you 15, 16, 17. And you will take a mortgage at this rate. 20 years, equity contribution of 20%. So you can buy a 2-bedroom Maisonette here. And we can process it within 6 weeks. The next one is the family-owned funds. The next slide. Yes, this one is 15%. 10% equity contribution. 90 million. This is processes faster. Family-owned fund is a scheme by the federal government and African Development Fund. 15%. So why are you complaining interest rate is high when you have these options? The next one, please. Next slide. NHF. All of you know about this NHF. It's as old as everyone. Of course, it takes a long time to process it. You can see 6 months, 6%, 30 years, 10% equity contribution, and then maximum is 50 million. So those are the options you have. Then the next one. If you think you don't like anything the government is doing, you know there are some of us who don't believe in government. We don't like them. We just hate government. I'm not here to convince you not to hate government. There's an option. Imperial will give you the money at 27%. If you hate government, you don't hate my own face. For 15 years, I can do more than 100 million, 150, 200 million. Just come and pay the 27%. So you can see now, we've told you about 4 different options. So what are you waiting for? You have no excuse. Look, I will tell some people these funds, they are close-ended funds. Please go to the next slide. They are close-ended funds. Once the money gets finished, they will want to put in more money. Then that is when a lot of you are rushing in. In Imperial Homes, since we started these funds 3-4 months ago, we've seen a lot of people. In fact, Imperial was giving a certain amount of line on MREF for 1 year. And we started in the month of August. By October ending, that money will have finished. So we need to go and get another line. That is how people have been taking. And you are, for those of you not taking it, you are just sleeping. You are just sleeping, and people will be taking it. Federal government has made it easy for us to take money at very reduced interest rates. So you are not complaining about interest is high and it is short term. So what is the complaint? A lot of people that borrow money for short term, people pay 3% per month. Some pay 5% per month when you borrow credit. That is 60%. And the government is now making this available. You don't need to know anybody. You don't need to know honorable. You don't need to know me. Just get a good property that has title, building plan approval, and show a proof that you have consistent income, and you can take a mortgage. A word they say is what?
Enough for the wife.
The next slide. So you can start your mortgage journey. We have a desk there for yourself, for your clients. Let them fill the form. Don't let them miss out on this. So that in the next 5 years, you will not be telling the story. You know, some people used to tell a story when rice used to be 1,000 naira.
Yes.
You will not be telling the story.
Like the story.
There was this mortgage, and it was 9.75%. It was 15%. It was 6%. You will not be telling your children the story. It's better you tell that story in that house and tell them this house. There was a program I attended. May God help us all in Jesus' name. Thank you for your time. And thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much. That was the MDC of the Terra Homes Mortgage Bank, Mr. Ayodele Olowokere. Thank you so much for that amazing keynote address.